Let's be fucking honest, life is better with more money.
You let me into your house or you let me on the phone, I'm not hanging up until you give me your business.
I've always been told, don't do this, don't do that. You know, I remember when I went to college, I lasted 2 weeks at college, called my mum and I said, look, I'm leaving college, there's no point in me being here. She's like, idiot, you know, what are you doing? You need to stick it out for 2 years at least, get your A-levels.
The faster you stop giving a shit about what anyone thinks about you, the faster your life becomes so much easier.
But 90% of the people that I'm looking around at just look absolutely miserable and they're just kind of like sleepwalking through life like robots.
I could quite happily sit here and say, do you know what? By the end of this year, my company will be worth £1 million.
What really, really pushes you and drives you to want to build it?
We could get a bit deep here now.
Let's do it.
We get a bit deep.
Ladies and gentlemen, look, we've got a goal with this podcast, and it's to grow it as much as we can. We're incredibly grateful for everyone that's listening to the podcast already and all of the followers. We've set ourselves a goal in the next few weeks to try and hit 100 subscribers and 100 followers on Spotify and Apple. Currently, we're at just over 50 followers on Spotify and Apple, and we've got 29 subscribers on YouTube. Look, we are so grateful for everyone that's following already, but if you can just hit that subscribe button or that follow button, it means the world because, do you know what? We're incredibly lucky for the guests we're getting already. Don't know how we're doing it, but we'd like those guests to keep getting bigger and bigger for you so that we can keep sharing advice from these incredibly successful people. So right now, just press the follow button, press the subscribe button. That would mean the world.
So yeah, just me and Ollie today. I've got a few topics that I think might be quite interesting to go through. Ollie's also got some topics that he will like to rattle through as well. I'm sure we won't get through all of them, but yeah.
Yeah,
hope
I think it's also like it's nice for us to do the one-on-ones every so often as well because it's the honest reality of it. It's hard to book guests sometimes.
Yeah,
like we try our absolute best to get some class guests on, and we have done so far, and we have got lined up as well. Like we say every week, the people coming is fantastic, but sometimes dates don't work, they clash. So it's like, yeah, absolutely, we'll take the time to actually just sit down, have a chat, hang out a little bit, and actually talk about us, which is
because we did have a pretty decent guest lined up, and he's cancelled for the second time now. We are, we're really trying.
It's killing me.
And that's the difficulty because if we've got someone booked, realistically that would have been this week's episode.
Yeah.
So now we've got to improvise, but that's fine though because we can do our own episodes. There's a lot of podcasts out there that do solely rely on guests.
Yeah.
So
I like having the guests. Like the guests are fantastic.
Oh,
like, I wouldn't change it at all. I think, but it's nice to rein it back in every so often as well because like we did start this podcast to talk to each other as well as other people. I think it was the main thing and share our successes and share other people's successes. Obviously, as the whole strap line of the podcast is. But yeah, it's just nice to sit down and chat and see how it's gone because it's very funny. Me and Sam, we chat a lot about the podcast and things like that, like pretty much all the time. It's funny when you look through the WhatsApp chats, our chats about general life they don't exist anymore. Because I think we've both gone, okay, what do we need to talk about on the podcast instead?
That's it, yeah, there's only so much time in the day and it's like we've got our own businesses to, try and run and operate and build and whatever. On top of the podcast, it's already quite a lot and then it's like, right, okay, well, where do you fit in a chat with just seeing how we're doing? But on that note, how are you? How are you actually doing? I feel like you're struggling a little bit at the minute.
A little bit. There's just a lot going on at the moment. It's crazy busy at the moment, but it's also a lot of stuff just not happening, if that makes sense. Like, like the business is doing fantastically well in terms of, as everyone will know by now, it's an estate agency business. There's a lot of properties under offer. The pipeline, my pipeline is currently sat at about £135,000 now. It's gone up in the last couple of days.
And just quickly, for people that don't know what that means.
Yeah, of course. So a pipeline, for anyone that's done sales, you know what it is. Anyone that doesn't is basically the money that, it's the commission that you've agreed from the sale of a property type thing, but it's just gone under offer. It's not legally binding. You've not made the money anymore. It's just sat there waiting to happen type thing. And it gives you a good idea, a good track of what money to expect to come in and kind of how to keep on track of your company as well. But, so I've got £135,000 of agreed fees in the pipeline at the moment, but they're all just sitting there. Nothing is happening. It's like just slow. And it's tough at the moment because I've not made any money. People don't understand this, but I've not made any money for about 3 months now. No money's come in. It's all just gone out. At some point, there'll be a massive turnaround and I'll probably make about 75 grand in 1 month. It'd be nuts. But at the moment, it's just the money's going out, nothing's coming in, and it's just a pain. But it's also like, there's that, and it's like, stop drinking. Obviously, I had one little night the other night. I was texting Sam, very pissed, and he could tell. But I've tried to stop drinking, and literally after, it's bizarre because after I had a drink on, was it Saturday night, Sunday night?
Yeah,
Saturday night.
Yeah, Saturday.
I felt shit ever since.
Really?
Awful.
Yeah, and you only had what, a few beers?
That's pretty equivalent, about 6 beers, but
Yeah.
it's not like a massive. It's
3
a lot.
big bottles.
Yeah, 3 big bottles. It's not a massive amount, but it's a lot at the same time. But it's not enough. But it makes you realise when you haven't drunk for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like Tom was the one that started it.
Yeah.
Full stop. He was like, it was brilliant.
I've tried it a couple of times as well. Like, and I always feel amazing when I don't drink.
Yeah.
But then you do have a couple of drinks and you're like, oh, okay, this is manageable. But then once you're back in the rhythm of drinking, it's then normal again. Your tolerance goes up, you're drinking more. And then, if you're at a party or whatever, if you're doing something on the weekends, you then drink way too many. You then write off the Monday, Tuesday, and it's just like, it's a vicious cycle, isn't it? It's finding the balance of just.
I think his maths was really, like, the maths was the bit that really hit me.
Yeah.
Was when he said, all right, if you go out and get pissed on a Friday and a Saturday night, you're writing off the Saturday, you're writing off the Sunday, you're probably writing off the Monday as well. And there's 3 days out of 7 of the week, and that's nearly half the year you're writing off from being hungover. And I was just like, do you know what? It's actually a fucking good point. Like, to be fair.
When you put it like that.
This episode is sponsored by OHRE. OHRE are West London's premier hybrid estate agency, mainly focusing in Shepherd's Bush, Hammersmith, West Kent and Fulham, but we've got coverage over the entirety of London and soon coverage coming across the entirety of the UK. Currently, OHRE's sale time from going on the market to going under offer is 3 weeks across all of our postcodes, which is by far and away faster than any other agent you'll think of. We also have the best marketing strategies across London and probably across the United Kingdom. So if you're looking to sell your property or let very soon, don't hesitate to get in touch with OHRE.
What about you though, mate? What about you?
I'm all right. Look, I had, so where are we now? We're July, so June, May, April was awful. March was pretty awful. Like pretty bad. Like I'm sitting there.
Yeah.
And I'm not good company. When I say awful, I mean quiet, not much business going on, things are falling through.
Yeah.
Just everything that could go bad was going bad. But then kind of, second or third week of May, very good, turned it around. June, very good, turned it around. Actually a record month in terms of new business, in terms of like just new projects that are going on, banked income, everything that could have gone well, went well. Yeah. So I'm buzzing again. I'm on that,
You're on the high.
I'm on the high. I'm riding that high, riding that wave. And then July's already started really good. I know we're in the 1st of July, but I can just see a lot happening already. Yeah. So touch wood, it continues.
As he touches no wood whatsoever.
Yeah, because I really need to work out a way to kind of understand right now, just because it's going good, there are going to be lows again, because it will drop, and I'm just going to have to be able to manage that. But I'm still learning that, that kind of, I've always been in sales, so I've always had that up and down, but it's different because you've got a basic salary.
Yeah, you've got comfortability to sit on, whereas we're both sat here now going, if I don't make any money, I don't make any money. Exactly. Like, it's full stop. There's no commission coming in. We're fucked, essentially.
Yeah, so, but overall, really, really good. One thing I have been struggling with, because it's been so busy, is like, just not not being present in the room enough with my partner, with anyone that I'm speaking with outside of work. Yeah. Just like after hours, just my mind is just buzzing, and it's a nice feeling because it means that I'm really enjoying my work, and I just really want to get stuck in. And any time I've got in the day, I just want to be working. But in the same breath, you could end up building a business and end up single or with no friends as well. So it's managing that.
It's a tough line.
I know you've had struggles with that as well, right?
It's a tough line. Like I've had, I can speak very openly about it. Me and my partner have had numerous conversations, and the company's only 2 years old. Numerous conversations about the fact that I am more than happy, and I don't even think about it. It's only recently I've started thinking about it. But I'm more than happy to park my ass in my desk, in my chair, at my desk, and sit there for 18 hours a day and not look up. Obviously, I go out on viewings and things like that, but like, I'm just happy to sit there because I'm doing something I love. The company's my baby. Everything else kind of like, it's a hard thing to describe, but everything else around you zones out a little bit, which is a really horrible way to describe it. And we've had conversations about the fact that I am not neglecting, but just not spending enough time with my partner, with my dog, and just being around and doing stuff. And it's a really, really hard line to toe, because I remember having the conversation when I first started the company, which was, I sat down with my partner, we were very honest, and just said, look, the next 18 months is going to be hell. Because I'm going to be probably broke most of the time, and I've never been broke in my life. I'm going to be working all the time, and I'm going to be stressed as anything. So it's not going to be fun. And because of certain things that happened last year, that 18 months, kind of the extra 6 months for that tagged on to that extra 18 months. And now, thank God, it's starting to, everything, knock on wood again, but everything's starting to slowly fall into place a little bit more. Like, yeah, there's loads of money sat in the pipeline not doing anything. Yeah. But I'd rather have loads of money sat in the pipeline than nothing, and nothing's doing anything anyway, type thing. Yeah. And it's allowing me to now expand and bring people on and get people on to help me with deal progression, so I can go and do different things. But like towing that line of work-life balance, it's funny, because I go back to Tom's episode last 2 weeks ago, and we asked him what's work-life balance, and he said, sorry. But then he also talks about at the weekend, he is solely a family man, which I think now he's made it, makes life a lot easier for him. He's sat there with millions and millions in the banks, flying in his PJ, like got the Lambo. And I think right now for us, it's a bit different, because we're just taking every second we can to win.
I think the really tricky thing with your part is that you've got weekend work, because most people want to view on the weekends because they're off work.
I don't think it's even that though. It's like, I like Sundays. If you would have said at my old company, do you want to come in and work on a Sunday? My answer would have been absolutely not. Fuck off. Not happening. Like everyone told you not to come in to Sundays in my old company as well. But now it's different, because Sundays are my day where I'm one of the only people in the industry working.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, have you seen White Gold?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like
window salesman.
Window salesman, exactly. The evenings and the weekends are the best time to go and prospect. Yeah. You let me into your house, or you let me on the phone, I'm not hanging up until you give me your business.
Of course.
And Sundays are the best day for me, because everyone's available, apart from like between 9 and 11 if people are at church. But everyone's available. They can take a call. They can take an email. They're impressed by the fact that you're doing it on a day no one else is doing it. Yeah. But my problem is, I've become obsessed with that.
Yeah. And you've got Monday to Friday, so actually you're doing then 7 days a week, and you do need that time to refresh, restart. Like for me, weekends, I do not work. Unless I've got stuff that I really haven't got enough time in the week for, and I will make allowances for it. But 9 times out of 10, I do not work on a weekend. No. And that gives me that, it allows me to reduce the chance of me like burning out.
Yeah, and that's the conversation we've had, is like the burnout is something that I know what the symptoms are of it now, because I've burnt out a couple of times before, like badly. But like with the work-life balance, me and my partner had a conversation probably about 6 months ago, where it's like, after about 7:30ish, I'll come and sit in the living room, we'll have dinner together, we'll chill. If I've got to make work texts and things like that, I can do it. But there's no sitting at your laptop unless it's absolutely urgent, no sitting at your desk. We come and hang out together, and we've pretty much been doing that since. But I've kind of regressed a little bit the last week or so, because she's out on holiday with her family. I'm just sat there, like, it's like I'm wired to the computer. I'm just sat there going, fucking, come on in, let's go, I've got the time, type thing. But yeah, it's a complicated one, because you're right, you don't want to end up a multi-millionaire on your own. Like, no. It's like, on being a multi-millionaire, I'll preface that just so I don't get cancelled in any way, shape or form. If you want to be a multi-millionaire and be on your own at the same time, fine. But you don't want to be a multi-millionaire at the expense of your family at the same time as well.
Of course, and it comes to that thing. You always hear someone that has made it say, it's not about the money. It's the money's not as good as you think it is. All of that stuff. Very, very easy to say when you've made the money. So you do need to make the money, and you do need to sacrifice things. But also, I can very much understand that there's so many people out there that have made it, but they've neglected that relationship or friendship or their health and things like that. So that when they have then suddenly made it, it's like, oh shit, but now I need to work on this stuff. So I think it is really important to kind of spin all those plates as well.
Yeah, it's like for me at the moment, it's like And it has been since I met my ex and my current partner. Is like I do it so that me and my family can have an amazing life.
Yeah.
It's not just me, but then I'm also sat there going, well, I'm doing what I like to do, but I'm not including anyone in it, type thing at the same time. But like everything I'm trying to do now is, one, to make myself a success, and two, allow my family to either have the chance of success, or just if they don't want to and have a normal life, they get to go and do things that they wouldn't have expected to do in the first place, type thing. But I really like what Tom said as well. He's setting up generational wealth now, legacy wealth. It's what I'm trying to do at the same time. But it's towing that line it's so thin. It's so thin. If you step over it one too many times, game over. If you don't get close to it, the company's not going to go the way you want it to do. It's a fucking complicated one. I don't think people tell you about it enough when you think about starting up your company, how much of an impact it's going to have in your life.
No.
Realistically.
100% for sure. But I think, it is just finding that balance, but also not getting too comfortable and taking your eyes off the goal, which is, we know exactly what we want to achieve. We just need to do it. Because let's be fucking honest, life is better with more money.
Yeah.
I'm not, like, people that say that it isn't have already got money.
Yeah.
Of course, at that level, fine. But with more money, you can do more things.
But it's like, people say, like, money doesn't give you happiness.
Yeah.
I get it to a reason.
Of course.
But money also helps you get out of situations. Like, you could be stuck in a situation where, I don't know, like for the States, for example, 200 grand to do a fucking procedure of some kind, an urgent procedure. You've got multi-million pound in the bank. That's sorted. That's easy. Like, money just makes life easier and gives you the opportunity to enjoy things. Whether you're happy or not when you're doing those things, separate, but it gives you the chance to actually go out and live fucking life the way it should be.
Yeah, and you've then got the tools to then go and work on what makes you happy. Of course, at that point, it isn't the money, but at least you've got the time and freedom to then work out what makes you happy. I was stuck in I was stuck in a... So Sophie had a problem with her eye the other day on a Saturday morning. So we woke up at like 7 o'clock. She had this problem with her eye. We had to go to this eye hospital. And the place was filled with people that were sitting there like, my eye.
Yeah.
You know, and we were just like, okay, the place was flooded with people, oversubscribed, and we were sitting there for about 5 or 6 hours. And I was just sitting there the whole time thinking, if I did have that level of money, like, there's no way I'd be sitting here for 5 or 6 hours wasting my Saturday just because we haven't got private healthcare. Yeah. Like, absolutely, that would completely eradicate that problem.
Well, you see, have you heard the story about the old MySpace founder?
No.
Sold his company for, what was it, $560 million?
Right.
And he's not started a company since.
Right.
He literally sold his company, and his job ever since was going and being a photographer.
Oh, really?
His passion in life, he makes fuck all money from it.
Yeah.
But he's made the money, like, whether he enjoyed doing MySpace or not, probably most of the time he didn't, realistically.
I love that.
But he went and got his money. He went, do you know what? I've made my money now. Fuck it. It was time for me.
Go and do what makes you happy. Absolutely. But if it was on a flip side and he'd set out to be a photographer from day one, okay, fine, there's the exception to the rule that could have ended up making it.
Of course.
But generally speaking, you're not going to make much money. And actually, if you're not making much money, generally your quality of life is not amazing.
Yeah.
So if he did it the reverse, then he probably wouldn't be,
Absolutely. 100%. So something I wanted to talk about was socials, mainly, because...
Yours are flying at the moment.
I'm buzzing at the moment. It's banging. Like, I think the last week I've been gaining near enough 100 followers a day.
Yeah.
So 10,000 followers is only about 4 days away if I keep posting. But I've seen so much stuff on, like, so many people that do well on socials and things like that post this bullshit of this is how you become big on socials. And the main thing I want to talk about this is because it's so important for business, full stop. And I wanted to kind of break the fourth wall and stare down the camera a little bit, but break the fourth wall and actually give some advice on what you should do instead of like just from me. Like, the reason I feel comfortable I can talk about it is because my last 10 videos have all done a minimum of 40-odd thousand views up to 200,000 views, and I've only got 9,500 followers type thing. So I thought it was quite important, and then we can relay it back to business topics as well. But just to pop through a few of those things that you should do quite quickly, because I think there's so much bullshit information out there that people are saying, do this, do that. It's an absolute load of rubbish.
For sure.
So something we do for the podcast channel as well, first thing, is using things like trending audio and captions.
Yeah.
mainly because Instagram's promoting these these audios for a reason. They're top 10 in the trending for a reason. You need to use them because they'll push your content out a little bit further. And the captions, the reason we do them as the podcast is because, one, obviously some people want to read it in the first place. But two, if you think about where you actually watch most of Instagram, you're either at work, you're on the train or on the tube, or you're on a commute. Yeah, you watch it in the evening and you can have the sound on. Yeah. But people want to read it instead. And I think that's a big thing. And it's like, if you're trying to reach a big audience on socials, you've got to take that into account as well, because not everyone's going to be listening to what you say. I used to do videos back in the day where I was just talking, no captions on it. No one can understand what I'm saying. If they've got it on silent, you need to have that. There's a couple of, I skip past hashtags. I only do 5 hashtags. You don't need to do 30 anymore. Posting times, that's a big one. Because a lot of people post at stupid times. And it sounds horrible, but a lot of you do post at stupid times. The reason that I think I get so many views is because I'm really clever around it. And it's why we try and, like, we've had a chat about when to post the videos on the podcast and things like that as well. Don't go posting on a Friday or a Saturday, because people are either at work or they're out doing stuff. Full stop. It's that simple. Best days to post are a Monday, a Thursday, or a Sunday. Why? Sunday I get, because people are sat not really doing anything. They're on it. Monday, Thursday, I don't understand why. Best times are 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock in the evening. Now, that kind of just makes common sense, really. People are leaving work, they're heading home, or they're going to get home. Instagram massively thrives on your initial 20-minute engagement. That's what it does. You post at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when people are at work, fuck all, but no one's going to see it. Like, they're not going to see it. And then Instagram's going to turn around and go, well, this is not popular. No one likes this. We're not going to push it out more. So you post at the times when people are going to be active.
Would you say, just quickly, would you say that is account specific as well, though? Like, would you say that your audience is maybe slightly different to someone else's audience? Obviously, countries excluded.
Not massively.
No. Yeah,
I think
guess
like,
it makes sense.
Like it doesn't make a difference. Like, if you're posting if you're posting dog memes and you want lots of people to see your dog memes, post at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Either it's 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what works best for me. Or it's at like 7 in the morning. Like when we try and, I don't think we've done it in the last 3 episodes, but like when we tried to post a trailer on at 6 a.m. in the morning, because that's when you get people before they go to work or on their commute as well. But no, it doesn't make a difference at all. And that's literally like my rant over with socials. It's been something that I've been seeing a lot on the feed recently, is people trying to give out this advice, trying to get you to buy a course from it, or get you to download their PDF so that they can then sell you something. I'm so bored of seeing gatekeeping. And I think that's quite good about this podcast. We don't gatekeep, neither do the guests. They don't hide their success tips. And it's like, fuck that. I'm done with that stuff now. This is what you need to do. Good content, right posting times, use the trending audios, only 5 hashtags. And that's all you need to do, realistically, and find your niche, obviously, but that takes some time to work out. But that's why I think mine's been blowing up now. And the reason I bring it up is because now it's about £14 million worth of property I've sold through Instagram and TikTok now. It equates to about, roughly about £75,000 worth of my fees.
All from socials. And
you're
definitely now on that kind of J curve that they talk about, aren't you? And it's on the way up. For me, we've talked about this loads, and I know the biggest thing is consistency, because I just have not been consistent. I've always consistently posted, but not necessarily with like reels, which is your big.
That's the big thing.
That's the biggest thing to actually get reach. I'll always post a story most days, and I'll always be on socials to some extent. But it's not just that. It's not that big kind of reel that needs to be posted at least 3 times a week.
Well, you can see on my Social Blade as well. I've sent you screenshots. Social Blade is basically a website where you can see how many followers you're getting on a daily basis, or subscribers, or things like that. Like, I really like to look at the analytics of what I'm getting on certain times, so that I can work out what's going right, what's going wrong. And when I don't post for a couple of days, I gain maybe 15 followers on a daily basis, which is still good. But when I don't post, when I do post, when I've posted the last 3 days straight, I've gained about 90 to 105 followers a day, every day I've posted, which is just like, if you want to start growing, do it type thing. And that's like, I'm so buzzing that it's slowly getting there.
Yeah.
Because 10,000 was my goal for the end of the year.
Yeah. And you'll definitely.
And now it's going to be 20,000.
It could be 20. Yeah, 100% for sure.
Because if I'm gaining 100 followers a day.
Yeah, it's the compound effect as well. Because that 100 then turns into 200 because it's more reach and blah blah blah.
And then I become the biggest property influencer in the world. No, it's hard to beat Ryan Sahan. He's got 2 million.
Who, sorry?
Oh shit. What have I done?
I think
I'm just gonna.
Can it not go on? Does it screw? Do you have to screw it? You have to spin it around. Yeah, just do it. It's fine.
Sorry about this, everyone. We'll keep this in because it's quite funny.
Yeah. Ryan Sahan, I don't know who that
Never heard of him. $1 Million Listings.
No. Is he American? Is he
Very,
English?
very, very buzzy, like American guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fine. I've not seen
He's got 2 million followers. He's the biggest real estate influencer in the world.
Oh, right. Okay,
but actually, it's funny enough. We're going to have the biggest real estate person in the UK, one of the biggest in the world, one of the biggest in the UK, and on the podcast in a couple of weeks, which should be exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely.
It's funny. We did say that it's not a property podcast, but it has kind of turned into that. Even by default, even Tom Smith, he wasn't. I didn't find him because of property. I just found him because he's just some psycho 50-year-old bloke that's just at it constantly in business. And
I'm sure you love that quote.
He's just at it constantly, like the motivation levels and like the stuff he talks about. I just see him on my screen. I'm like, wow.
Well, it's quite nice because the couple of people, like the other person you messaged the other day that came back and said, we won't give anything away, but he's nothing to do with property, separate industry.
Oh, yeah.
And then obviously the guy that's cancelled on us twice,
yeah,
nothing to do with property whatsoever.
No, but by default, he has also got a property portfolio.
Yeah, I think that comes with wealth though, doesn't it?
Course.
Like it's the stable investment. Like I've got 3 buy-to-lets as well. Like, did I need to buy them? No, but they're just sat there. Well, I mean, they're not making me money at the moment, but they're neutral.
Yeah,
they're paying themselves off in 10 years. So I've owned 3 of them now for 4 years. In 6 years' time, they'll be paid off and they'll just be paying me profit afterwards. And all of those properties are in a trust and they'll go to my kids in the future type thing. But
100%.
It's just there, just making money. But it's almost impossible for us to get a successful person on that hasn't done something related to property.
Good for us to get some, because there's these real like successful people that are like madly against property. Like massively. I've heard of it a lot recently, and they're just like, don't put your money
Grant Cardone's like, he's not against buying a property. He's not multi.
He's against buying your home, your residential home. His argument is that your residential home is a liability. It's not an asset because it doesn't make you money. You sit there, you pay for it, whatever. It's 2 sides to that coin, because I get what he's saying, because let's say, for example, you had, 50 grand sitting in the bank. What is the point in putting that 50 grand into a residential home to buy where you could use that 50 grand to either invest it in business, whether that's your business or whatever, and then creating a cash flowing asset, or putting it into an investment property, cash flowing asset, not as good as it used to be back in the day, but it's still a cash flowing asset. You then use that cash flow to rent somewhere to live. That's his argument, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all you pay for your own stuff through passive income.
Yeah, that's the argument with it. So it does make sense. But on the flip side, if you had someone, let's say, because the minimum deposit you need, and I can tell you this because I'm a mortgage advisor, the minimum you need is 5% for a deposit. So if you're looking at, something that's worth,
say 100 grand. 100 grand for ease of access is £5,000 type thing.
Yeah,
you're looking up to $1 million, it's 50 grand.
Yeah. But let's say, so average property price 300 grand, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you were buying for 300 grand, so you need 15 grand. Actually, what else could you do with 15 grand?
Yeah, you can.
Sorry. Yeah.
Like my maths is a
What else could you do with? So in that scenario, like UK 300 grand, does it make sense to put, like, what else? You're not going to make much money from 15,000.
No.
So you may as well,
because on a buy-to-let you need a 25% deposit.
Anyway, so that's first thing. So you may as well put that 15 grand into a residential home, because by the time you've rented for a year,
I think it's all very well and good multi-millionaires and billionaires turning around and saying, don't buy a home, just pay for it out of the passive income you make for your company. Yeah, fuck me. You make hundreds of millions of pounds in passive income a year.
So it depends. It's very circumstantial.
Absolutely. But for the normal person, it's still a solid asset. It's still an appreciating asset if you keep it for a while. And also, you're not paying someone else's mortgage. I think that's the main thing. Like most of my tenants, other than the commercial unit, most of my tenants are students, because no one's buying a property realistically when they're a student. Perfect. But like for most people, especially in London, you're spending like a stupid amount of money on rent when actually it's cheaper to get a mortgage nowadays.
Most of the time, yeah, even with rates that the way they are, like if you bought a property, I don't know, let's use Brighton for example, you know, probably for a 2-bed, you're going to have to spend 1,500 quid a month on rent minimum. So that's 18 grand a year. And then if you bought a 2-bed for 300, mortgage payments would probably be similar around that level, but at least you're on the property ladder, you're paying down your mortgage, and hopefully that property will go up in value over time. So you start building that pot of equity over time rather than just spending 18 grand a year dead money. Of course there are exceptions where it would make sense to rent.
Of course.
My situation at the minute, it doesn't really make sense for me and my partner to buy a property. It makes sense for us to invest our money into the business and put all of that into that. We would have to get 50 to 100 grand together for a deposit. No point in us doing that right now.
No. And I think that takes us on to one of my points that I put down as well, is like, we can give you all this advice, but you don't need to give a shit what we say. Like the big thing that this is a weird tangent, but I think it fits quite well, is something that I learned very early on in life, and I was told by someone, was you just got to not give a shit what anyone else says about you, unless they're going to have a material impact on your life type thing. And it's such a massive, it sounds so much easier said than done. But the faster you stop giving a shit about what anyone thinks about you, the faster your life becomes so much easier. I think so many people are weighed down by what other people think about them, especially with us starting our companies. Like, when I was starting my company, I was told by my family, my friends, my old managers and my old bosses, because they didn't want me to leave, that what I was trying to do was naive. It was stupid to be starting up a company at my age, that I'd only been in the industry for 5 years. Told social media wouldn't work, full stop. I've now completed the it's not trifecta, I don't know, it's the quadfecta, I don't know if you can say it. I've had valuations of properties now from TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn and Facebook. I've completed the trifecta. I'm selling stuff through social media. And I think you just got to stop giving a shit what other people say, because it's killing a lot of people's ability to go and live their own life.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with our generation, is that so people are so sucked into social media, looking, everything needs to be perfect, you need to do this and this and this. Like, I remember when I've always been told, don't do this, don't do that. You know, I remember when I went to college, I lasted 2 weeks at college, called my mum and I said, look, I'm leaving college. There's no point in me being here. I want to go and start working. She's like, idiot, you know, what are you doing? You need to stick it out for 2 years at least, get your A-levels. I'm like, what's the point in me getting the A-levels? I then got a job. I then, after that job, left that job, and she said the same. She was like, why are you leaving here? It's a good job. And I was like, trust me, mum, I'm going to go and do this. And then left my first mortgage advisor job to go with an independent company. It's like, why are you leaving there? You're on a good income, you know, stick it out for a little bit every single time. And then I went and set my own company up after earning decent money with an employed role.
It's your own fucking life. It's like swearing so much, but I feel quite passionately about this. It's like, it's your own life. Like, no one's living your life for you. Fuck what anyone else thinks. And once again, unless they're going to have a material impact on your life. Like, if I was to go and get an investor in the company right now, obviously I've got to listen to partially what they say. But with like things like my company and things like that, it's all built off the foundation of being different and a bit crazy and like running around houses in 60 seconds.
And with respect as well, definitely don't listen to someone that is not in a situation that you see yourself wanting to be in.
Correct.
But then again, I say that, you know, I mean, your dad's obviously a wealthy man. You went against his advice. What then pushed you to go against his advice?
Very different industries. I think that's the problem.
Sure.
Is that, so my dad sold his company for a lot of money. Owned a financial advisor company, basically would also take on companies, do them up, sell them on type thing, like a property flip, but with companies. He started under the equivalent of what is a brokerage model in my industry. Big founders, they'd cover some of your costs type thing. You give them some of the revenue on the basis, but you found your own company you could grow within. They then went on their own when they were bigger than the brokerage company they wanted to go for. But the situation with my company and the industry we're in is I don't feel like there's a good enough brokerage at the moment for me, because like back in the brokerage he worked with, huge name, it was Whitehall back in the day, huge name, massive company, could really give you a lot type thing. When I started 2 years ago, I didn't feel like there was a company there that could do that for me. And no one believed in what I was saying, which was, what's wrong with me starting? What's wrong with me trying? If it fails, I can then go and join a brokerage model and recoup the losses and not have to pay the expenditure. But I'm here to create something different and start something new. And I think it was more the fact that I was starting a lot younger with my company than he was.
Yeah.
Different industries. I feel like I know obviously he knew his industry as well, but I know my industry back to front.
Yeah.
But there's no one there that I feel would be supportive of my style generally, because when I started doing it, I was mental. I was like going after corporate agents, being crazy with property tours and so on. No one would support me in that. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go on my own. Like you can say, so many different companies can say no to me. I was going to join one and then it just didn't fit. So I was just like, do you know what?
That's one thing as well. Like, you know, it's a lot of people are held back by this, but the worst case scenario is that it doesn't work. Great.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Go and do something else after.
If you get through a whole life of success and a company without failing at some point,
Yeah.
congratulations, you're in the 0.0001% of people.
Yeah.
No one gets to where they want to be. It's not just a straight curve. You see all those photos mainly on Instagram as well. It's like where the travel's like that instead of just like that, because it is just up and down. Like, and if it wasn't down at some point, you wouldn't know how to deal with these super downs that will come in the future, because there will be at some point where either another company's trying to fuck you, or someone in your company or in the company trying to fuck you, or the company's just not doing well, and you've got to try and work out how to get over that. If you've never gone through the hardship, it's not going to happen in the first place, type
100%.
thing.
I think, yeah, just the way I look at it, it's like, would I rather sit there in 40 years' time, 50 years' time, looking back at my life going, you know, I wish I tried that.
Correct.
I wish I tried this. I wish I tried that. Or would I much rather be sitting there and going, I'm so glad I tried that. It didn't work out, but at least I gave it a go.
And there's always fallbacks. Like, go back to another episode with Tanya as well. Exactly the same model, exactly the same industry. We're both fully aware that if it goes tits up, there is things for us to go back to. Like, neither of us will ever go back to corporate agency, but there's things to go back to.
I'm basically unemployable.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair.
I burnt so many bridges.
I mean, look,
Jesus
I
Christ.
could get a job, but the way that my mindset is now, my mindset has always been that, but I needed a job to start with, right? To learn the ropes and whatever. But I'm basically unemployable. But if I needed a job, I could go and get a job.
Absolutely.
Like 100%. I know so many people.
You go work under the equivalent of what you're doing now.
I could get a job tomorrow very, very easily, but I just wouldn't, because of like how passionate I am about business. I would have to now that I've taken the big leap of just going from employment to self-employment, I would have to go and set up some form of other business, even if it was just like, I don't know, just like online remote sales or something. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that. That's just.
It's hard to, once you've gone on your own, it's hard to go back.
Absolutely not.
It's an ego. It becomes an ego thing, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, and like I think for me, it's far deeper than that, because like I was on the way here, you know, I got the train here and it was around rush hour. Like, and I'm just looking around and I'm just like, and no disrespect to anyone that's employed. I think it's great if you are really passionate about what you do and you love the comfort and you love being employed. But 90% of the people that I'm looking around at just look absolutely miserable, and they're just kind of like sleepwalking through life like robots. And they're just so programmed to be, you know, to just turn up to the job, do the job, go home, wake up, do it again. Like, I
think it's also a mindset thing as well. I think
massively.
We've got very used to it. Like I am. It doesn't pass me that some people are really comfortable fine with that.
Great.
Absolutely fine. They'll happily take the 9 to 5.
And who wins, right? Like,
exactly.
Like that person if they do love it, but I'd argue that most people don't.
No, but it's like, it's one of those things where like you go self-employed to, instead of set your own hours, you end up working 5 to 9 instead of 9 to 5. But I think it's a mindset thing where when you start your company, you become it's a different level of driven, and I think it's protection as well. Like, I call my company my baby because it is. I ain't fucking letting anything happen to my baby. It's not happening. Like, come and sue me, come and do whatever. I will fight it out, and I will grow back up again. I mean, stop scratching this table, but I think it also comes to like the ego thing as well. Is like something that I also noted down is sharing your success as well, and not being afraid to do it, because you might feel like you're hurting other people's feelings, or saying like people will come to you and say, shut up, you don't need to share that. Once again, why not? Like, I'm happy to share my success all the time. I do it all over Instagram. I also share the low points because I think that makes me human. But so many people, especially not not in like the States or things like that. I feel like people scream and shout about their success over here.
Yeah, look, there's a fine line between sharing the success and sharing the wins, and just being someone that is bragging all the time and maybe inflating what they're doing, which is what a lot of people tend to do.
Inflating what they're doing is something I completely disagree with.
Yeah.
Bragging, if you've got the right to brag, personally, I believe you should brag.
Yeah.
If, for example, if we're sat here in 20 years' time, still doing the podcast somehow,
Yeah.
and I've just sold my company, you've just sold your company, and collectively you made millions and millions, I'm gonna fucking sit here and say I just sold my company for millions and millions.
Yeah.
But the people that sit there and go, I'm not going to name names, but certain companies that we both really don't like, sit there and say, I make this much money on a yearly basis, so on and so forth, and it's absolute load of bollocks.
Yeah, look, and I think, we've all been there, haven't we? When maybe it's an insecurity thing and whatever, and you may tell a little white lie about certain things. Like, let's be honest, we've all done it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. That there's always been everyone's had a situation where they've told a little white lie or whatever. But if you're consistently just making stuff up and just over-exaggerating stuff, and I just think that, that will get sniffed out very quickly. But if you are winning and you want to share that, I see nothing wrong with that, especially from someone that, if you're looking to build a company, potential investors and stuff like that, they're going to be very much interested in how things are going.
And they're going to look at every single aspect of who you are and what your company is as well.
And they'll be able to find out very quickly if you're
lying. You're bullshitting. Yeah. And you become a serial liar at that point. Like, if you just keep going, you're a serial liar, and then someone's going to come along and sniff it out, and then it's just going to go bang, and it's going to fall over. But I feel so passionate about half the stuff we're talking about today. I'm swearing excessively. I do apologise, everyone.
That's fine. But on that as well, like with like lying and stuff like that. Sometimes, so how the other day when we were speaking to Tom, and he was like,
"Where's this going?"
Not lying. No, not lying. But I do think there's sometimes a fine line between like manifestation and like speaking stuff into existence to actually, is there a difference between that and like actual reality as well? For example, like, if you're constantly saying you're going to be a billionaire, billionaire, does that then mean that you're saying, this thing and this thing is I'm going to be a billionaire after this? Is that just because you want that to happen, or factually do you think you're actually going to be a billionaire after that? Do you know what I'm
what you
trying
mean.
to say?
I think it differs very much person to person.
Yeah.
I think, like, I could quite happily sit here and say, do you know what? I think by the end of this year, hopefully, but maybe mid next year, my company will be worth £1 million.
Yeah.
And I set myself that goal.
Just on that though, look, so that's obviously a great goal. What metrics do you put on that? Like, what does your company need to look like from your point of view for it to be worth £1 million?
Oh, I can. My thing is, it's all based off gross profit. Because you do 4 times your income is roughly what your company's worth. So if I can do 250 in a year of gross income, my company is then sat at £1 million valuation.
I would argue that even if both of us did 250 this year, I would argue that our companies would still be worth naffle. 100%.
No, but as in, like, 100%, because, like, at the end of the day, it's just us at the moment, and it's
because if we died, or if there's nothing to sell because we're doing every single piece of work.
Correct.
If you did £250,000 a year, but you had an operations team, you had negotiators that were out doing the viewings, you had systems and processes in place, that's something that could be packaged up and sold.
Yeah.
I would argue, if we're just looking at income multipliers, of course, it's the 4 times, 5 times multiplier.
But I saw it on I saw it on Terry Blackburn's Instagram earlier today, and he was talking about your company itself, and it's like, if you were to fuck off for 6 months, would your company still be running?
Yeah.
And for me, no. For you,
absolutely
no.
No.
And it's building, but like I've said this, and I've said this since the start of my company. I'm going to have one of the biggest and most influential brokerages in the UK, and then I want to expand into Europe if I get that goal.
Yeah.
Full stop, because I think Europe's there for the taking as well. But that's my goal. And I tell myself, like, I do say that to myself. I don't manifest anything, because I think manifesting is... I don't believe in manifesting. Yeah. I feel like you make your own luck in life. If you're just sat there doing sod all on a daily basis and you're going, I'm going to be a millionaire next year, unless you win the lottery, it's not going to happen. Or you have a really wealthy relative die.
Yeah.
But I am working, and I've got that image in my head of, do you know what? 20 years time, hopefully sooner, but 20 years time, I'm going to be the biggest brokerage in the UK. I was having a couple of years ago when I started the company, I was having therapy at the same time. And we talked about my drive and why I wanted to win and all of this explanation. And he was like, this is probably going to make you incredibly successful, but it's probably going to nearly kill you at the same time.
And by the way, yeah, I was about to say, in the same breath, I think it's great to have that underlying like fire and
it's
ambition.
Just sat, it's so sat in the, it's so subconscious, but it's so sat in the back of my head that it's just there, nagging at me every single day, going, "You're not doing enough."
Yeah.
And you're not number one in the area at the moment. You're not doing enough.
I completely resonate with you, and my driver is very similar but different.
Yeah.
In the respect that I grew up and I didn't really have money. Like family didn't have money. For a lot of the time, it was just my mum raising us, and bless her, she didn't really have much money at all. So if I wanted the nice trainers, I had a paper round at 9, and I'd save up for 10 weeks to go and get the Air Max.
Yeah.
You know, I then worked at the fish and chip shop. So my driver is more that, you know, I distinctively remember being a kid and like if we were out on birthdays, which was pretty much whenever we'd go out for dinner as a family, you know, once a year for birthdays, you know, I kind of remember that feeling. If we wanted to like order an extra drink or a dessert or whatever, I could just be like, I could just sense the uncomfortableness. Yeah. So my driver is just so focused on that never having to be an issue with my family. Yeah. And, you know, I used to think big as a kid, and I do think that people around me, family, friends, whatever, would probably be like, "Oh, okay, mate, you're going to be a millionaire, are you? All right, you know, keep dreaming, mate."
Yeah.
So it's those things as well that probably is an insecurity where I've just been like, "Fuck you." Yeah. What do you mean doubting me? I can do this. Watch me do it. Like,
I think it's quite obvious. Like, I think because just from us talking to I think you've always been a bigger dreamer in that than I have. I don't think I've ever been a massive dream. I've never laid in, like, until I started my company. I've never laid in bed at night or anything like that. Gone, I really need to, like, I need to be a millionaire. Like, I need to be incredibly successful. I've not done that. But just because of the way I've been brought up, every job I've ever had, everything I've ever done, I've always had to be the best at. Yeah. When I was a waiter, I used to make it a competition. Could I get the most tips in one night? Yeah. Every night I'd do it. When I was a rugby player, could I be the captain? Could I score the most points? I did it. When I was at my old company, can I be the best negotiator? Can I beat all the goals that no one else can beat? Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So I know for a fact that I've got it in me to go and make the company what I want it to make. And I know I won't stop because of it. And I know you're the same thing, just for different reasons.
Definitely.
And it's going to be like, it's an incredible driver, but it's also a very risky thing that I've got to manage very carefully at the same time as well. And it'll be the same for you as well.
It's exactly the same because, you know, when's enough, right? Because you might have, you know...
We ask our guests how much money is enough money?
We might get to, you know, £1 million a year, 10 million net worth, whatever. But then it's like, I need to keep going. It's like, hang on a minute. We've got everything that we said that we wanted now. So why don't you just relax? You know, go and enjoy time with your partner and, you know, your family and whatever. And I think that's where we both got to be really careful. Yeah. Because, I mean, mate, you could fucking die tomorrow, and then what's the point?
Well, I've got problems with me already.
Exactly.
If stress flares up massively, then I'm gone.
Yeah. So, you know.
I know. That's why, like, when my therapist said that to me, it was like, did I ignore it a bit? Yes. Yeah. But does it also sit next to that voice in my head going, you got to be fucking number one? But also it sits there going, yeah, you do. But if you come number two and you still live, that's not a bad thing to do either. Yeah. But it's when my therapist said that to me, it's like, it's going to make you incredibly successful, but it might kill you at the same time. Yeah. It's such a fucking, but that's why I'm also training to now do a triathlon as well.
I was going to ask you about that. So your fitness journey. So you
journey. It's not started yet, but it'll get there soon.
Because you got to do it, mate. You got to do it. Like maybe we could find a photo of me in December. Yeah, like if you, I'll show you after. Yeah, look at the difference between me and December now. Like I'm not even. I've still got a long way to go to get into my optimal shape. But if you saw a photo of me in December compared to now, mate, you'd be like, wow, the difference in my face, like everything. Yeah. I just feel better. Like it gives you more confidence. Yeah.
I think like, that's why I've set myself a goal which is ridiculous to go and do a triathlon. Yeah. An Ironman is February of next year. Right. I paid for it the other day.
I'm going to hold you to that then.
Well, I've got no choice because I've now paid it. I've spent money on it. I have to go and do it now.
Yeah.
But I have to do it for my health anyway.
So when are you starting training?
I started this morning. I went for a swim this morning.
Yeah. Where?
I am shit at swimming. I did 2 lengths and then nearly died.
Yeah.
got to do 1.2 miles of open water swimming, but it's gonna get there.
Yeah.
But I've got to the point now where I'm eating just bad stuff all the time. It's not good for me. It's not good for the company. I feel like shit when I go on a diet, and actually even when I'm eating like when I was eating 500 calories a day, I felt so much better than I do now. I was starving, but I felt so much better.
Yeah.
And every time I go for a run, I always come back and go, cool, all right, now let's go for it. It's time to win again.
It gets your mind right. Like this morning I went for a run and it was, I don't know if you saw my story, but it's just beautiful. Like you get up, and this morning I really did not want to get up for a run, but got up, did it in Hampstead Heath. You got all the dog walkers out, you got other runners as well. Yeah. And it's just such a good feeling to be out in the fresh air and get amongst it. And then you're home by 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and you're ready to start your day. And because you've smashed that big task, you can then do anything you want because you've already pushed yourself.
You've already got your first win of the day.
100%. And it's like, well, I can do anything now. Just crack on.
Cool. Well, we have got out of time there. Jesus, we got into like that last 20 minutes was fucking let's go.
That's what it's about. Love it.
But as always, thank you very much for watching Open Book. Like the next two guests we're hoping to have on, one is a multi-millionaire. I don't know if the other one is, but one's a multi-millionaire and works in my favourite line of food, full stop. And then the other one's the biggest personality, most followed person in the real estate industry in the UK, full stop. So keep your eyes out for that. As always, do drop us a follow, do drop us a like, give us a 5-star review on Spotify as well, and subscribe to the YouTube. We said we're trying to aim for 100 subscribers on YouTube and 100 followers on Spotify, just so that we can keep building. We love this, and we really want to keep speaking to amazing guests. But I've been Ollie.
I'm Sam.
And that was Open Book. Thank you very much. Lovely. Nice.